In August, I played a private gig on one of the Finger Lakes. After all the instruments were packed up, the host took us on a sunset boat ride. Then I was asked to go swimming. Why didn't we do that when it was light out? I wondered. It seemed sort of dangerous and risky. Besides, it's getting cold. I don't want to freeze. Plus, I don't really swim. I sort of just keep myself from sinking. I followed their excitement and changed my clothes, leaving my shirt at the water's edge. With trepidation, I jumped off the dock with an inflatable inner tube made to look like a watermelon. Everyone that I was in the water with was in their 20s and 30s. Some reminisce when they came out here as kids. Now they're wondering when or if they will get married, or when and if they will have kids themselves, apply to grad school or not. The night's carefree water is the temperature of a midsummer's day. As seaweed occasionally cut into our legs, we all wanted to stay submerged underneath the chilly air of reality. We could all sense September was looming just over the ridge. The sky is the blue of a never-washed denim jacket, and the dim buttons glimmer as stars. The lights of the camps form an otherwise invisible parameter of shoreline. And I realize I am no longer one of them. The strike of nostalgia runs through my body. These things, they go away. No matter how many times I look and reflect, there off in the distance of a faraway lake, another season passes without notice. Sure, we mark the major transitions of life. For parents to be, we have baby showers and child dedications. It took some time for me to identify as a parent. Years ago, someone referred to me as Miles' dad. I didn't know who they were talking about. Of course, intellectually, I get it. Often we are new to something, and it takes time for us to emotionally kind of catch up. A year and a half ago, I was at the state capitol lobbying with a black shirt on and a cleric's collar, a white cleric's collar on. A Republican lawmaker from Long Island came up to me and was so grateful I was there. "Where is your parish, Father?" he asked. "A very northern part of the state, Canton," I said. He asked me why I was there, and I told him I was there lobbying for compassion and choices, that people shouldn't have to suffer at the end of their lives, and I left it vague enough that he just agreed with me. He told me about a church near to him that was closing. I could sense grief in him. I told him all things changed. He took my hand and gave me a side hug. "Thank you for being here, Father," he said. I didn't correct him, because doggone it, I am a father. My leaves of identity tend to stay on after most others shed theirs. With the distance of time, I can now proudly say I'm happy that I got some things figured out, that I did go to graduate school, and that I have 2 great boys. This reminds me of, I was preaching a sermon once, a really big congregation in Minneapolis, and the person that spoke before me, they had paper, and they said, I'm not like into this new technology like that minister is. And people laughed, and then I had a problem with my with my tablet. That happens. But I was saying, I'm happy that I've gotten some things figured out, and I have two great, wonderful sons, and I've been married for almost 20 years. And I'm thankful I'm no longer a confused creative, and I'm happy to be here with all of you, making community and meaning together. Come to think of it, I'm actually pretty content and happy. I am no longer a young adult. Some of the leaves of identity we wear, they dry brown, they grow brittle, and just won't fall off. A woman we all know and love changes her life around to be a caregiver for her parents. Through her compassion and care, she extends their lives by many years. Then, one by one, her parents, they die. She is no longer a faithful daughter anymore. All of a sudden, she is no longer what she was. This will take seasons to heal. It can be a creative time, though, with buds waiting, Lord, new leaves of identity blooming all over. Or perhaps the exact opposite might be true. We may want to change certain roles and identities, but just can't. We only signed up for a limited time to do this, and now we are stuck. We want it to be summer, but it's really fall. What we think does not match up with what we feel. Our leaves are still hanging on during the snows of winter. Or how about that faithful member of this congregation who loved its people, its politics, and volunteered here to make us thrive? She was asked to be on this committee and that team, and she was organized. She got stuff done. At first, she slowed down a little. She just couldn't walk as much. Then she needed to get a walker. And then she stopped driving. And living amidst North American car culture, this is a significant change which cuts us off from many social interactions and much of life. Her whole life, she was needed. Her kids needed her. Her students needed her. Now nobody does. In fact, it's the opposite. She needs help just to get to the doctor's office. First, it was independent living, then independent living with some help here and there, then long-term care facility, far from friends, most of whom she outlived. You know, some are resilient to these changes, these leaves. They fall and tumble to the ground and give new nutrients for life in their due time. Some remain content and even feel lighter and welcome in the new season. But for many of us, these leaves of transition stick to us uncomfortably. Last year, I started to play pickup basketball games again with other middle-aged men. One was a doctor. He played basketball in college, and he just loved, and with his big tall frame, he just loved posting up, boxing out, and that follow through after a made shot. In order just to play a couple hours on a Friday night, he had to inject his ankle with cortisone. After a few Fridays, my knees hurt. He mentioned cortisone to me. I didn't love basketball enough for that. But I have been biking since I've been 4 years old. I bike practically every day. I love going on vacation to civilized countries where there's bike paths everywhere. And my knees are beginning to hurt. This summer I listened to my body and cut down on my biking. Who am I if I'm not a bicyclist? Why am I so different? Why are my leaves still on when everyone else seems to let theirs go with ease? In a word, it's grief. If you find yourself transitioning in and out of identities and roles, realizing you are not what you were, still wearing the leaves in spring, you are not alone. I think the first thing to do is notice it, admit it, accept it. Journal about it, talk about it. That is why I and the pastoral care team are here, to be listening ears. Transitioning is not easy, and as a culture, we don't talk much about these changes in identities. And grief, well, that's not a nice emotion we want to relish in. But if you strip off all these roles and identities and become bare and clean, like a naked tree in winter, beneath all the change, there are branches, a trunk, and deep roots. A solid something pulsing with the sweet sugars of life. A lovable and adaptable self. We know the whole world is constantly turning. The bears in Alaska are getting fat. The squirrels are here gathering nuts. But change is never easy for us. It takes an act of will for us to make a turn. But turn we must, or we will be trapped in a past season. We have these identities and these roles. Perhaps it is simple as a sport you just can't play anymore. Or maybe it's the death of a spouse or a sibling. For so much of our lives, we identified with this or that persona, activity, or role, and now it's changed. And we pine for the past. This is part of the process of becoming a mature old tree. It seems odd, to have leaves on during the winter when all the fellow trees have shed theirs. And sometimes we are like the oaks who won't let go so easily. And sometimes we have good reason to keep them on. They will all come off in time. They always do. Sometimes we are like one of those oaks who won't let go until the last moment of spring. Leaves of identity eventually fall, all of them, and they decompose and come back as new leaves. When I was studying music seriously and really wanted to be a professional musician so bad, I had this fear of injuring a finger or a hand or getting carpal tunnel syndrome or whatever that would prevent me from being a musician. During that time, I met Janet Millard, who used to be the principal flutist in the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra. She had studied at Juilliard, made several recordings. One recital even got rave reviews from the New York Times. But she injured her arm and could no longer play flute. She changed careers and learned to become a computer programmer. But she stayed in love with music and realized even with her injured arm, she could still bow, and she learned to play cello. Then she learned to be a very good conductor in a community orchestra I played in. Leaves fall. They fall in their time, with or without our doing. But buds are always present, sometimes protected by brittle, dead leaves, ever waiting to explore the newness of light. So may it be, and amen.